Ethiopia has one of the fastest growing economies in the world and is Africa's second most populous country. Many properties owned by the government have been privatized or in the process of privatization to boost efficiency, generate more income, and further improve the economy. Almost 50% of Ethiopia's population is under the age of 18. Jobs created as a result of the recent growth Ethiopia has experienced is slowly catching up with the increased output from educational institutes. The country needs to do more to create hundreds of thousands of jobs every year just to keep up with population growth. Before we go on, consider subscribing to our channel if you're new here and turn on our notification to always get notified each time we drop a video. Stay tuned. Agriculture and fishery. As of 2020, agriculture accounted for almost 35.5% of Ethiopia's GDP, 75% of exports, and 80% of the labor force. Ethiopia's Feed the Future program has supported the transformation of its agricultural sector by promoting higher productivity to generate greater incomes. Many economic activities depending on agriculture includes marketing, processing, and exports of agricultural products. Production is overwhelmingly of a subsistence nature, and a large part of commodity exports are provided by the small agricultural cash crop sector. Principal crops include coffee, beans, oilseeds, cereals, potatoes, sugarcane, and vegetables. Exports are almost entirely agricultural commodities, with coffee as the largest foreign exchange earner and its flour industry becoming a new source of revenue. Ethiopia is Africa's second biggest maize producer. As of 2008, some countries that import most of their foods from Ethiopia, such as Saudi Arabia, were planning the purchase and development of large tracts of arable land in developing countries such as Ethiopia. This land grabbing has raised fears of food being exported to more prosperous countries while the local population faces its own shortages. Ethiopia's fisheries are entirely freshwater, as it has no marine coastline. Although total production has been continuously increasing since 2007, the fishing industry is a very small part of the economy. Fishing is predominantly artisanal. In 2014, nearly 45,000 fishermen were employed in the sector, with only 30% of them employed full-time. Manufacturing. The Ethiopian manufacturing sector is still far from being an engine of growth and economic transformation. It plays a marginal role in employment creation, exports, and outputs, and is short of stimulating domestic linkages. The main industries are food processing, beverages, textiles, leather, garments, chemicals, metals processing, and cement. The manufacturing sector still has a low impact on total exports, around 15%, but is expected to grow in the coming years. A program to privatize state-owned enterprises has been underway since the late 1990s. There has been a large growth of manufacturing in Ethiopia, and several industrial parks have been built with a focus on textiles. Ethiopia's long history in textiles began in 1939 when the first garment factory was established. Based on Ethiopian country data, in the last 5 to 6 years, the textile and apparel industry have grown at an average of 51%, and more than 65 international textile investment projects have been licensed for foreign investors during this period. The growth in the textile industry is directly linked to the government's move to set up an industrial development strategy. This step of the Ethiopian government to prioritize designing incentives and policies to attract investment in view of worldwide competition has played a big role in the development of their economic status. The manufacturing sector contributed $12.7 billion to Ethiopia's GDP in 2019, which is about 12% of the country's GDP. Minerals and mining. Mining is important to the economy of Ethiopia as a diversification from agriculture. Currently, mining comprises only of 1% of GDP. Gold, gemstones, and industrial minerals are important commodities for the country's export-oriented growth strategy. Tantalum mining has also been profitable. It was reported that in the late 1980s, the mineral industry lacked importance given that it contributed less than 0.2% of Ethiopia's GDP. Mining for gold is a key development sector in the country. Gold exports, which was just $5 million in 2001, recorded a large increase to $602 million in 2012 and has grown a little above that recently. The country has deposits of coal, opal, gemstones, iron ore, soda ash, and tantalum, but only gold is mined in significant quantities. Energy. Water power and forests are Ethiopia's main energy sources. The country derives about 90% of its electricity needs from hydropower, which means that electricity generation, as with agriculture, is dependent on abundant rainfall. Present installed capacity is rated at 2,000 megawatts, with planned expansion to 10,000 megawatts. Ethiopia says it has earned over $165 million in revenue for sale of electric power over the last 10 months. Out of the amount, $49 million was from supply to neighboring Sudan and Djibouti. Tourism. Aside from wholesale and retail trade, transportation and communication, the services sector consists almost entirely of tourism. Developed in the 1960s, tourism declined greatly during the later 1970s and 1980s under the military government. Recovery began in the 1990s, but growth has been constrained by the lack of suitable hotels and other infrastructure, despite a boom in construction of small and medium-sized hotels and restaurants, and by the impact of droughts, the 1998 to 2000 war with Eritrea, and the spectre of terrorism. In 2002, more than 156,000 tourists entered the country, many of them Ethiopians visiting from abroad, spending more than $77 million. In 2008, the number of tourists entering the country had increased to 330,000. In 2018, with 812,000 terrorists, travel and tourism contributed $7.4 billion to the country's economy, an increase of $2.2 billion in 2017. The sector now represents 9.4% of Ethiopia's total economy. Recent oil and gas discoveries across East Africa have seen the region emerge as a new player in the global oil and gas industry. Ethiopia's plan to earn an annual revenue of $8 billion from natural gas exports in coming years, and this is likely to boost Ethiopia's economy. However, falling global oil prices are threatening the commercial viability of these gas prospects. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.